So today we have a very, very special video. I'm interviewing the one and only Mary from Mary and A Mop, also my mom. For those of you that don't know, I started, along with my partner Sergio, a window cleaning business that we ultimately sold. We were able to run the window cleaning business remotely, and now we teach people how to do it. And during this time, I also helped my mom start her business, which is called Mary and A Mop. It's a cleaning company she runs completely remotely in Orange County, California. So if you're watching this and need cleaning, definitely give her a call. But she runs that business, got it up to 20K per month pretty quickly. She had a 9-to-5 she was working, and she was able to quit that job pretty quickly and now just operates the cleaning company full time. So welcome, Mom.
Thank you, Johnny.
My mom, she raised me pretty much on her own. Dad was kind of in and out of my life, and I wanted to bring her on to talk about the journey of like what it was like raising me as a single parent and being a mom, and then also just seeing us go from, growing up kind of struggling to, building a business, and kind of get her experience and her view of what happened through her lens, and also some struggles that she went through raising me on her own. So let's just jump right into it. Why don't you give us a brief background on just like what it was like growing up?
Okay, so when you were growing up, you are actually born in Riverside, and your dad and I lived together. We never got married. He was a really good dad. The only problem he had was struggle. He was an addict at alcoholism. And so when you were about the age of maybe 5.5, 6, I decided to take you and leave. And so we kind of didn't have really a stable place to live. I lived with friends. You lived with me. When you were about 6 years old, your dad decided to take you across the border.
Wait, what do you mean by take me?
Well, he picked you up at your aunt's house, at my sister's house. We were playing. He said he was going to take you out to dinner, and he actually took you to some mobile home park where his mom lived in Arizona.
So he kidnapped me,
He
basically.
pretty much kidnapped you, yeah. So I got Corona PD involved, but there was nothing I could do about getting you back. We went through custody battle, and in order to not put you through all of that, I gave you up for probably, it was supposed to be a year, but when 7 months came, he called me one day and said, I can't do this anymore, I need help. And by that time, I was living up in the high desert with my sister. I came to see you once at the ranch.
In Idaho?
A little cabin in the woods in Idaho. And I knew I had to get you back. I knew that wasn't the best environment for you.
When you say not the best environment, like what do you mean? Like,
well,
why wasn't
the
best
so
environment?
Isolated, and it was snowy, and he didn't have like the best food for you. I just already knew it was going to be a struggle for him. So I worked my butt off. I lived with your aunt, and I actually got you back when you were almost, I think like maybe right before your 7th birthday. But your Aunt Irma paid for your airplane ticket to come home. And when you got off that plane, I saw a skinny little kid that his shoes didn't fit him, and he actually sent you back with no clothes and just the clothes that you had on your back when you left, when he took you. Those were the same exact clothes you came home in. So when I got your shoes that fit, bought your clothes, I started giving you beans and rice and Mexican food to plump you up and get you back healthy and eating right, and put you in school, and it was just a completely different thing. I decided that I didn't want to be having anybody in my life as far as a relationship, because I didn't want you to be treated bad. And so therefore, I pretty much stayed alone raising you. You always came first. So it didn't matter if I didn't have a new dress to wear or something new. It was all about you having the right clothes to go to school, being pressed, having your lunch, and making sure that you were good.
So when you got me back from Idaho, where were we staying, and then what were you doing for work?
So we stayed at Aunt Irma's house for a couple of months, and then I got I rented a house. It was a guest house. It had a little kitchenette, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. I was paying rent. Had a little old white jalopy car. Was going to and from. So
It was a Buick, right?
it was a Buick. It was a white Buick. Got stopped a couple times because it probably looked like a lowrider car.
Yeah, it was a hoopty.
So we had that car. We got our place to live. And I was working at a real estate company as the receptionist. And then after that job, I got a job working for a big commercial real estate company, and I got to be hired as the administrative assistant. From that job there, we rented a huge house in Hesperia with Grandma and Grandpa. Then, so everybody had their own rooms.
How much were you making at the time? Do you
So
remember?
at the time that I worked at Exit Desert Ocean at that first job was $10 an hour. And I knew I couldn't make it on $10 an hour. So when I moved to the other real estate company, I was making like $15 an hour. But then I quickly learned how to do transaction coordinating and files and putting files together for agents that were lazy. And I was charging them anywhere from $500 to $1,000 to put their files together. So I was taking that extra work home and working. We were paying rent. Grandma and Grandpa were helping us pay the rent. And then after that, it was when the market crashed up in 2008, 2009. And I had your Aunt Alice work for Bank of America. And so I found a house in Hesperia, Oak Hills area. And since I worked in real estate, I was able to get that house for 3.5 down, FHA loan, huge 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom house. And I was able to pay $3,700 down on that house. And then I kept bringing those files home and making that extra money.
What was the mortgage payment? It was like $800.
Mortgage payment was like probably $850. Grandma and Grandpa moved in with us. Everybody had their own bedroom. I made an office in the front room. And then there I kept moving up, and, I became administrator of the whole office and also a recruiter. So I was making extra money there. So things were getting really good. And then Obama gave us the $6,900 trying to keep homes, keeping the homes and stuff because the market had crashed. And so I was able to buy your whole furniture. Meanwhile, your dad sold the property up in
Idaho.
So he was able to also help out a little bit. He started to really step up. And then I think when you were freshman in high school, your dad passed away. After that, it was totally just focusing on your upbringing. And then Grandma passed away. And then in 2015, Grandpa passed away. House was too big. I looked at you in your senior year and said, Johnny, do you want to go to Orange County? And you're like, yeah, I do.
Yeah, to give some context too, like growing up in the high desert was, if you're not familiar with the high desert, think of it as like the butt crack of Southern California. Like there's nothing out there to do. It's meth labs and just a bunch of, it's just very sketchy. There's nice areas, don't get me wrong,
Yeah. We lived in a nice area.
We lived in a
brand
nice
new
area
homes.
for
Yeah.
sure, but overall the whole area, there's not much to do. If you wanted to go anywhere, you had to drive an hour or two Orange County. And
Plus, you have the extreme weather, the inclement weather up there. It snowed, and then you had extreme heat.
Right.
Where if you go outside, you totally melt.
So when you asked, well, also, what was the career I wanted to do at the time? Do you remember?
Yes. So at the time when we finally sold that house and we moved back to Orange, well, I'm originally from Orange County, and Johnny, this was the first time he was going to be living in Orange County. And so he wanted to be a police. That's what he wanted to do.
Be a police officer, yeah.
A police officer. So he got into the Explorers at Orange PD. And I was like, I bought him his boots, got him all his stuff. And I have pictures I'm going to have to post of him.
We'll post the pictures. It'll show up on the screen.
Then after I think maybe a month and a half into it.
2 weeks.
No, you were about a month into it.
It was like
I think.
2 weeks when I actually started and it became official. It was like 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. And so he came home and said he didn't want to do it anymore because he couldn't stand the cops getting in his face and yelling at him and cussing at him.
I thought I have a problem with authority, and so I thought I didn't like people talking to me the way they were talking to me. And
But
so
then I said to him, well, you have a Hispanic mom, a Mexican mom. You should be used to the yelling part of it. But he didn't. He didn't want to do that. So then after that, I think he worked at Knott's Berry Farm.
yeah, as a lifeguard.
Lifeguard, Knott's Berry Farm. And then after that, he worked for Rita's Ice. And all the while, Sergio was living with us and not paying rent. and me taking care of these two guys and making sure that they ate, all the while driving for Uber. Driving like hours from 11 o'clock in the morning till after maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. I'd get home, sleep until about 10, get ready again. And this was every day. Coming home, sometimes taking breaks, making food, and then making sure the guys were okay.
Then wait, okay, so you're driving Uber, and yeah, no, it was no joke. Like you were hustling Uber, like it was crazy how much you were working.
Yeah, I was making a lot. I was making good money working for Uber.
Before that, I was working at Rita's, but then I also started the window cleaning business.
Right.
What did you think about me starting a window cleaning business at the time?
So I thought that was great because you had that spirit of you wanted to be an entrepreneur. You didn't like working. You hated coming home from Rita's Ice. You didn't even want to work there anymore. So at first you wanted to start a t-shirt business. Remember that?
Yep. Yeah. I remember me and Sergio. Yeah.
You guys would always be brainstorming upstairs, and then I'd go up and listen to them have the conversation about they wanted to start a business. And then one day I got a Amazon package and they opened it up and it was a bunch of squeegees and these little hanging things on the side. And I'm like, what are you going to do with that? And you're like, I'm going to go wash windows. Okay. I always supported Johnny in whatever he wanted to do. So that's the most important part about being a single mom is let your kids dream, let them dream big, let them be who they want to be as long as they're not out doing stupid stuff. And so I always had trust in him. I always knew he was going to be somebody great and somebody that I would look up to myself as a mom and be proud of.
So you're driving Uber. I'm building the window cleaning business. I'm still living at home. Sergio's living there too. And at what point? Well, you were driving Uber for a bit, so you got hit by a drunk driver, and then what happened?
Well, I got hit by a drunk driver. I got rear-ended, and I actually had two passengers in my car, and one of them went flying because he didn't have his seatbelt on. I called you up and told you what happened, and you're like, "Whoa, let me see the car." Remember? Mm-hmm. Then he FaceTimes me right when I'm talking to the police. I'm hobbling out, hurt my knee, my back's all messed up. Went to the hospital. My daughter picks me up, and my car's totaled. I'm sitting on the couch with a busted up knee, and just depressed, getting behind on bills. Used all my savings from Uber. Didn't have a car. Like, Johnny, we need to pay rent. Can you help me out? So he actually stepped up and helped his mom out to pay rent so he wouldn't get behind. And then my sister, my oldest sister, paid for a car for me. And within probably after that, within I think 6 months, I had her halfway paid off and started driving Uber again. And then I quit Uber and started driving to medical transportation because I was freaked out about driving at night. And medical transportation, I'd start early in the morning, was home by 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was better pay.
You were driving the medical transportation, but didn't they do something like they cut your wages, or you started making less money with it or something?
Yeah, they started to do not pay as much on the trips. We weren't as busy. No, COVID hit. Mm-hmm. That's what happened. They didn't cut it. COVID hit. Mm-hmm. And so...
Oh, you were tripping during COVID. You were tripping.
I was like, I'm going to die. I have autoimmune. I have rheumatoid arthritis. So I'm not supposed to be around. My immune system doesn't battle crap the way other people's does. And so I was like, I'm going to die. I don't know what to do. So
I'm going down there, and of course she's watching the news. Right?
Yeah.
You're watching the news all times, and she's like, "We're fucked. We're fucked."
Yeah.
That's what you'd be saying the whole time.
yeah, we're fucked. Yeah.
It was a scary time for a little
Yeah,
bit.
it was a scary time. So what I would do is maybe work a couple of hours just to make ends meet. And now I have to say that I do have another income, but it's not a whole lot of money. So every time I took these extra jobs, it was just adding to what was already coming in. So Johnny helped me out a lot, but then his window washing company also, you took a hit during COVID as well.
Well, that's actually when we took off. That was when we had our first $200,000 year.
Oh, okay.
Because we had done 42,000 the year before, and it took a hit for like a good month.
Oh,
and that's when
okay.
I was just in my room, like playing League of Legends all night.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was tripping too. I was a little worried because I was like, oh, no one's gonna let me in their house to clean their windows. But then the business just absolutely took off when I turned advertising back on when everybody else was scared to advertise and nobody was advertising. So, did you start driving Veo again? What ended up happening?
So I did. I drove Veo for a little bit, but I collected unemployment. That's right. I collected unemployment for a minute. So actually, I wasn't even driving. I was just kind of staying home and just chilling and not worrying about too much because we were making like bank off unemployment. So I just stayed home.
How long did you stay at home before you had to? Because you
my
eventually
gosh.
went back to work.
Couple years, I think. It was like maybe a year and a half almost when I stayed. And then, yeah, I did go back to work. I did drive a little bit for Vale again. And
you got to a point where you started stressing because you weren't getting unemployment anymore.
Yeah, no, actually, I settled the first part of my case for the DUI, for the drunk driver. And then I was able to buy a new car. And I did drive Vale for a little bit. And then...
Yeah, I don't know how you were living like you're doing unemployment, and then you like got the money from the settlement. It's like he's living just so dangerously, you know.
I know.
Does that stress you out?
Well, of course, but I didn't ever let you know that I was stressed out about that stuff. I just made it work. Paid my bills. We always had a roof over our head, and we always ate good.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, that would stress me out though because I saw how unsustainable that was. You know what I mean? And so then what did you think about, because up until that point, that leads us right into December 2021 when me and Sergio had the idea for the cleaning company.
Right.
And so what was your thought process when I was like, hey, let's start this cleaning business?
I was excited. I was excited about it because as a young girl, my mom was an immigrant from Guadalajara, and that's what she did. She actually cleaned apartments. And out of all 9 kids, she would take me because I was the best and the fastest, and I would help her clean. So I learned from a young girl. Even our house, we had to have it spick and span. It had to be clean. Johnny will tell you he thinks I have a little bit of obsessive compulsive disorder.
For sure.
So he's like, we're going to start a cleaning business. So I was all about it. I was excited. It just, when he started showing me like the Mary and A Mop logo, and he had had somebody make some little like cartoon characters of me with Mary and A Mop. One of them had like a bell pepper nose. I said, no, you can't use that one. And so I was excited.
And then how was the transition from, I guess, doing what you're doing to starting the cleaning business? And what was the first few months?
First few months, Johnny living there, it was, no, you can't say that. No, you can't do that. He'd come downstairs and I'd be like, just leave me alone.
I'd hear her on sales calls and she'd be saying some outrageous things on the phone. And I'm like, you can't say that to customers. You know what I mean?
But actually I got pretty good at it, and I got pretty good at sales. And I got to the point to where I would talk to people just like I'm talking to my son, and just be real with them and let them know exactly what to expect, what the girls were going to do when they got there. And I just started booking jobs left and right. And I think like at my second month, I did over 25,000, I think, on the second month. It was December and January were my best months when we first started, remember?
We had some good months. I don't know if it was quite 25,000.
Oh yeah, it was. I remember. because it was all the Christmas parties, everybody wanting, and I was actually using, gosh, I think 2 crews. I had Susanna and I had somebody else.
Margarita? Margarita?
No, it wasn't Margarita. But anyway, I had 2 crews.
Well, the Mary and A Mop story is kind of crazy because I didn't spend any money to start the business.
Right.
I put it all on an American Express credit card and threw it all on ad spend. We put everything. We did like the logo on Amex. We did like the website on the Amex.
Right.
Well, the website, I actually know a guy on Twitter, Alex, and he was just starting his business, but he made some good stuff. And I was like, well, I can like promote your stuff and like you could build the business. Just give me like a discount. And he's like, okay. And so we got the website really cheap, and it's still the same website today. It's a badass website. Has online quoting, all the cool stuff, and then put all the ad spend on the credit card.
Right.
And so that's what we launched it with. And so it was kind of, there's a lot of pressure too, because I was promising you, I was like, oh, we're going to make so much money. You don't have to do this ever again. Like, it's going to work. This is going to be your full-time thing. And so I was really banking on everything working out, and it did. So,
well, it is my full-time thing. My phones are open 24/7. So I got a call this morning at 7 a.m. Woke up, took the call, told the guy, hey, you woke me up, you're booking this job with me, and got it and booked it. So it's hard for me to take no for an answer. So I'm just always trying to get him, especially if they go off Google. I need to book that job because I'm paying for that call. Mm-hmm. So that's the mentality I have. And we're doing really good. We're doing great things. I actually landed 2 accounts that are really big. And I do clean houses for the flipping of Alamusa. And I do a developer named Brian out in Newport Beach. So those houses actually come out on TV.
what's the TV shows?
And the TV shows Flip and Flop, Flipping 101, and flipping the flipping of Alamusa. And so the first 2 seasons just came out. And I did a house out in Silver Lakes that's all glass post-construction. And then the house that in Newport Heights that was just a wipe down, actually that one was showcased on the 2nd season. And the 3rd season, I believe, is going to be a house out in Big Bear we did for them.
What's your goals for 2023? Where do you want to take the business?
The rest of so I want to do more of the post-construction. If you're out there listening and wanting to start a cleaning business, post-construction is where it's at, because the sky's the limit. Like, you could literally go into these houses and know how to remove the dust and the dirt and all the stuff, polish everything up and make it look really clean for a new owner to go in, and charge anywhere from, on a small house, $500-$600 all the way up to thousands of dollars. So
what's the biggest job you've done?
Biggest job, 8,400 square foot house. First job, 3,600.
3,600?
3,600.
Damn.
That was.
How'd you land that one?
You.
Oh, was that the first job? That's the first job we ever done. Yeah.
Did.
We had a good relationship with a developer that we worked with at Orange Window Cleaning, and they wanted a post-construction clean done. And I was like, yeah, we do that. And then I remember I took you on the job and you were all nervous, like walking around, like, what do I say? What do I do? And then you ended up talking to the guy and landing it. And so I think it was like, 3,600. And it was a lot more expensive than even the windows. So yeah. And then how much do I help you with the business right now?
See, not really. Nothing.
Yeah.
Because I try to call him and Sergio for questions and they're too busy. So I just figure things out myself.
Mm-hmm. And what prior skills did you have around like business and because you have a team, you have teams, you have an operation going of like,
right.
It's not just like,
so
you're not
really,
going out doing the cleans.
Really, my first job in my whole life was as a receptionist working for a chiropractor. And that job, I ended up being receptionist, then physical therapy assistant, then billing, then teaching somebody how to do medical reports, medical intake. And then I was the GM of 5 clinics. So if you give me a little task to do or a small job, I want to know all the operating aspects of everything so that I can end up being the VP of that company or somebody higher up. So when I got Mary and A Mop, At first I was nervous about it. And then I thought, if you turned a receptionist job into being the GM of a six clinics, you could do this. So I just figured things out and just know how to run it. I just do it.
Pretty simple, right?
Right. It's
Answer the
pretty
phone,
simple.
book the
Answer
jobs.
the phone, be personable. Always have great customer service skills. Always, if somebody messes up a job or breaks something or does something, you need to be accountable for it. So you can't expect for the girls to come and talk to your clients about it. Make sure that if they break something, they let you know about it. That way you're communicating with your client. So you always have that relationship and that honesty. So, because I've had that happen where the girls don't tell me that they broke something and then I have to find out and replace it. So that and just your customer service skills, always follow up. Hey, how did your cleaning go? Hey, can you give me a good rating on Yelp, on Google, on Nextdoor? Like always have a rapport with your clients.
Definitely. And then how much business makes around $20,000 in revenue, top line revenue, gross. How much do you make from that every month?
Well, I leave money in the account, of course, for spending and whatever. So I'm probably bringing home anywhere from between $6,000 and $8,000 a month.
It's pretty solid. Way better than driving Uber.
Yeah. And so I'm able to put money in savings and I have cushion and
You got to get to 30 though, so you can start ripping those 10K, 12K months,
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Mary and A Mop's also run very lean too, because we don't have any virtual assistants. You do all the phone calls. You dispatch all the ladies to do the jobs. You do all the customer support. So you save some margin there. So, I mean, on that 20K, when I was looking at the P&L, it's like a 41 or 42% net profit, which is pretty freaking good for not having to do any of the cleaning.
Right.
Pieces of advice, any key takeaways from being in the cleaning business, doing your own remote cleaning business for somebody who wants to start?
Actually, if you just want to start a cleaning business, just jump in with both feet and do it. It's not that hard, really. You have somebody else doing the cleaning. The only thing I can say is be careful on what cleaning supplies they use. People don't like harsh things. They don't like Fabuloso or Pine Sol smelling stuff. So you want to keep it low key as far as your cleaning supplies, that what they use. The thing that they like the most is when you clean their oven and you detail it out and you get it looking brand new and sparkling. That's like a big thing with clients. Just customer service, just to always be there for your clients. And that's it, really.
Cool. Any parting words for the audience?
No, I just super proud of my son. I'm super proud of what he's doing because he's really making a difference in people's lives and helping them be entrepreneurs themselves. So
actually,
kudos to you.
Thank you, Mom. Appreciate it. But actually, that leads me. And so what's it been like watching us go from, because we were making some decent money with the window cleaning business, but then we sold it and I was just kind of locked in my room upstairs launching Home Service Academy at the beginning of January before I moved out. What was it like? Because you watched me build Orange Window Cleaning, but what was it like watching me build and transition into Home Service Academy? Because that's like a whole nother thing.
It was a whole different animal, is correct. Well, once you showed me your numbers and I saw why you were just like a hermit inside your room, I realized let him be a hermit. That's pretty cool stuff watching it grow. Now it's just amazing. Did anything ever hit you? Did you ever have like a what the hell moment? Like, well, of course.
What was that?
My what the hell moment was actually, boy, I must have did something wrong in taking some of the games away from him. Making him focus, making him finish college. So yeah, I give myself a little bit of a pat on the back, but really 99% of it is you and how smart you are, and just watching you grow as a man that's been my gift.
Yeah, but you helped me out a lot,
I did.
You helped me out a ton. So,
but I always put you first.
No, I appreciate that, Mom.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Mom, for sitting down with me doing this interview. If you guys like this and enjoyed the content and more interview style stuff, we're going to be doing more things like this. So make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and just remember, you heard a little bit about our story. We didn't go too deep into it, but there's a lot more to it. But if you guys are facing any challenges, any setbacks, just know it's part of the journey. It only makes you stronger. It only makes you better. And I promise if you could just keep going and keep pushing for a little bit longer, there's light at the end of the tunnel, I promise. So again, see you in the next one. Hit the notification bell, like, subscribe. Peace.